We have a special episode tonight on Subculture Live. We have an all-female pro athlete powwow, and I want to welcome our special co-host, Tara Martin, NFF Figure Pro. Tara and myself will be interviewing 3 pro female athletes. We have Kelley Martinez, Jaclyn Costello, and Vanessa Flores. Now, all 3 of them, in addition to Kelley, are prepping for the NFF Dallas Showdown. If you are watching this live, please remember audience participation is encouraged. We will be answering all of your questions. Also, please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you. All right, guys, welcome to this episode of Subculture Live. I am very excited because this is the first time that I have had an all-female lineup of guests, including my co-host, who I am going to bring in. And let's see, how are you tonight? Are you ready for this? You can introduce yourself.
So. I'm Tara, for those of you who may not know me. I've earned my pro figure card with the NFF back in 2017. So looking to make a comeback to the stage. My last show was September of 2019. So a few years off. So I'm ready to get back to it.
Yes, I'm excited. Now, just to clarify, all 4 of my guests tonight are all prepping for the exact same show, and that's one of the things that's going to make this show a little bit interesting because you guys are all different. Well, many of you compete in different divisions, so we'll be able to touch a little bit on bikini, the athletic division, pro figure, and I'm not sure if Kelley does figure and physique, but we're going to find out. So, because I think she has a physique that could go either way, which is very impressive.
For sure.
Right. So let's go ahead and bring them in. Here we go. And we have Jaclyn, who's going to be joining us shortly. So she, you'll see her name here in the title, but she will be joining us shortly. Here we go. All right. Where did my little? All right. Here we go, guys. All right. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
So we're all natural pro athletes, natural bodybuilding. What does natural bodybuilding, first of all, mean to each of you?
Well, for me, natural bodybuilding really just means being accountable for what you put into your body. And you could probably get off on so many tangents with this subject too, but and for those of you who may not know, we actually fall under the same rules as like the Olympics. So we have to follow the same rules, and we're not allowed to take the same I don't want to call them supplements, but same ingredients. So we actually go by the WADA list, which
Absolutely.
is great for WADA. In their website makes it pretty easy. All you have to do is they have a search box right in their banned list of ingredients.
Absolutely.
So all you have to do is go in and type an ingredient in that you're not sure of, and tells you yay or nay. It's good to go.
Yeah, though, let me ask a more specific question to you personally. What brought you into the sport of natural bodybuilding as a woman, as an athlete? Like, what brought you into this sport?
I didn't really think too much of it at the time. I just fell in love with bodybuilding and wanted to get up on stage. And really, it was just a matter of convenience for me because NFF happened to be holding the Alamo Showdown or Alamo Classic right near me in San Antonio. So that was really what pushed me. And and then you learn more about it. And so.
Sure. What about you, Kelley? Let's hear your story. Like, what grabbed you and brought you into this sport?
I actually have been a trainer and nutritionist for quite some time, and I decided to start into bodybuilding as a little bit of a hobby. I had clients who wanted me to prepare them for bodybuilding shows, and I decided if I'm going to do that, then I better know what this is about. So it was something that seemed like a great thing to attack as a 30-year-old goal. So for my 30th birthday, which was also a postpartum goal after having my first son, I decided to jump in and do my very first competition. And I know we're going to talk a little bit more about that postpartum part potentially today, but
Yeah.
the natural aspect, I actually competed in some of the other organizations that don't test for anything, and I fared quite well in those. I've done lots and lots of shows with those other organizations, and I've always been looking for something different. There's a lot of wonderful things about each organization. Every organization has its pros and its cons, and every experience is different. And I always encourage my athletes to try whatever appeals to them. But as a natural athlete, I think I was always kind of seeking something that fulfilled something different, that correlated with what has always correlated with me being a trainer. And I always tell my clients, everything I do is founded in sustainability and improving quality and longevity of life. And so being a natural athlete coincides with that. So I love competing. I'm a very competitive person, but I absolutely love the level playing field that the natural organization gives me. So I'm able to showcase what I've accomplished and with my physique, but what I've done naturally and through a lot of years of hard work. So, I'm a big believer in to each his own. Everyone does what they choose to do with their bodies, but, and I can fare well sometimes against some people who may have some enhancements I don't have. But sometimes I'm like, yeah, but I've been lifting like 12 years. So not that they haven't, again, you never know anyone else's journey, but, to the length of all the years I've put in, I love being able to showcase that on a really level playing field, and the natural organization allows for that, and I love it.
I like how you say a level playing field. It's like apples and apples, right? There's no question. There's no doubt that the person next to you has had to obtain those results the exact same way that you had to. And I do love that about natural bodybuilding. Not that I ever knock the other side. It's just that we're all on that same mindset. Now, all right.
And it does change the type of feedback you get. It is true that it does alter the type of feedback you get, because when you look at my shoulders in the context of being natural shoulders, for example, that's quite different from looking at them in the context of it being natural or not. Doesn't matter, not a part of the conversation. It does change the perspective when you're judging. And of course, as a natural athlete, I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. All right, so next up we have you, Vanessa. Give us a little bit. You're new to this. You're a new pro.
Yes, I am. So I guess I started my fitness journey back in January of 2021. And then I wanted to push myself more. And so my friend wanted to do a show. So I told her, if you do a show, I'll do a show with you. So that's why we got into it again. So we did it together. And so we did the Alamo Showdown. And so that's when I got hooked at my first show. I placed in novice second in athletic, and I got so excited for it being my first show. And then I got hooked, and I was like, okay, I think I could do 4 more weeks of prep. And that's when I did the Texas Classic in Dallas, and that's when I earned my pro card. So I fell in love with it, and it's only been 6-7 months for me.
Wow.
With my journey in it, and I'm so passionate about it, and I'm so ready to get started for this year.
Yeah.
So now is the Dallas Classic, is that going to be your pro debut then?
Yes, that will be my pro debut in athletics. So I'm really excited for that.
Very nice.
Woohoo. Now, do you have any questions that you wrote out that you'd like to ask these ladies? I know I'm typing.
No. Well,
Oh, okay.
actually, what would you all say has been the hardest part of any of your preps, or do you have an easiest part that you enjoy?
Yeah.
If you will.
I like that question, and a lot of times I'm surprised by the answers. Go ahead, ladies.
Yeah, me too.
Kelly, do you want to go first, or you want me to go?
Sure. I'll try not to talk too long because I've prepped a lot of times. And each one has been quite different. I think I've done 11 shows. I've been competing for about 6 years. So, this will be my 6th year competing, with a little bit of a break to have my second kid. But I had to not get on stage super pregnant, But let's see, what my favorite things and my least favorite things, toughest parts about prep. I think honestly, I've had, oh, look, there's me. I think in terms of what's the constant or the struggle every time, I can count on, my desire to snack is pretty hard to control. So that's probably the hardest part for me is controlling my snacking. And but with that, what I've actually found to be truly at the core, the most complicated thing that I face is sometimes, because I am so health focused, sometimes I feel like, you know what, my physique is a physique that I like, and I'm already lean enough to a degree that I like my body. And it's really hard for me to push that past that point when I'm at a certain body fat percentage and I really enjoy my physique personally.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm at that point just pushing it past that for the sake of competition. I find that mental mind game pretty challenging. Doesn't mean I don't enjoy being leaner than that. It's just really hard to make myself continue to be so tight and really push for something that is purely for the competition, not just for what I want personally for my physique. So the first preps, or that's kind of why post-pregnancy has been the easier preps for me, because I have some body fat I want to get rid of. So I'm really driven for the goal for my own physique. And then the competition's like a showcase of that. Whereas once you've done it a lot of times, I'm like, I kind of like how I look at 20% body fat. I don't, and then I'm just doing it for the sake of show, but I love competing and it's a lot of fun. So that's why I continue to do it, because I do enjoy the sport. I enjoy that extra push. I enjoy that mental mind game. But that's probably my biggest struggle, honestly, is getting past that mindset shift there. I love competing, though. I guess you could say my favorite thing is the actual competition. I love going. I love
it's fun.
It. I like being on stage. I'm not a shy person. I'm not a modest person either, so I don't mind the itty-bitty suits, and I love it all. And I love my clients getting to be a part of the whole process and them hearing about what I do, whether they compete or not. I always get a lot of support from the gym and from my personal training clients, and I love having that sense of community around something that I think is so fun.
The community aspect of it and the support is so hard, especially when you get further and further into prep, closer to the show, and then the mental mind games start playing, and the mental toughness of this sport is just, you can describe it to somebody and people will think that they know what it's like, but people have no clue what it's like when you get that close to the show. And just, especially if you don't have the support is so crucial.
Well, I think that's kind of because I've been telling some clients recently, a lot of people think of competition, bodybuilding, as something that's going to require super extreme things. And they're like, I'm all in, I'll do whatever extreme things it takes. When I always tell them what really is the bread and butter of it is taking what hopefully is already somewhat similar to how you live your life, stepping it up a notch, and applying extreme consistency. We can't have the 80-20 anymore when we're doing a show. We need to be more like 90-10 or 95-5. But it shouldn't be, because you're now doing crazy things that are so unlike anything you've been doing. If that's the case, that person's not ready for show, in my opinion. They're used to eating fast food for every single meal, and they never eat a piece of broccoli, then they're not really ready to jump into a prep. So it's not about extremely changing your life. It's about having extreme consistency with things that you should already be kind of doing. And that is the note that then requires that mental toughness, because it's not about doing something extreme. It's about having consistent mental toughness with what you're actually trying to apply. But
it's a lifestyle change, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those girls, the ones that you were just referring to, are going to be the ones that see those massive rebounds after a show. If you go into it just to compete with that mindset that I want to be a glamorous bikini competitor for 3 months, and then you're going to have adverse effects afterwards for sure. Really, it needs to be it needs to be a lifestyle.
It definitely does.
With that being said, since you are the youngest competitor and the newest pro, how did you deal with transitioning into a show prep and then out of a show prep? Did you embrace that lifestyle, embrace it, and continue not necessarily on prep, but just more mindful, knowing that you do want to have a future in the sport?
Yes, it was hard. During prep, I was so disciplined and I followed the plan. I had my hiccups where I had to call my coach and have her help me get back to my plan and not freak out. And so after the show and I guess off season, but it's really not off season, because you still got to eat right and you can't have like all the foods you want like before. So I had to adjust to that because I was so used to eating like my meals. And then when she was like, you can have a cheat meal here, I was like, what? I can have one? So I would get excited, but it was a different transition, going from like prep to not prep for a little bit. So I just had to control myself and make sure I just didn't fall off the wheel. But then that what kept me from not doing that is my goals. I know what I want to do. I am passionate about this. This is something I love, and so to continue it, I have to keep eating healthy and keep working out to achieve the goals I want to achieve.
Good. I love that mindset.
Yep.
All right. Now, I mean, I could speak personally, you know, on a lot of these topics as well. I did my first competition when I was a teenager. That was over 20 years ago. So I date myself here, but you know, that was very difficult for me as a young athlete, to see my body one way, and then, you know, going into going into college and that type of thing. The problem is that we're such powerful tools. We have the knowledge and we have the education, in most instances after doing a prep. So sometimes we almost try to sabotage ourselves because we're like, well, if I want to get back, I know what I need to do, right? And sometimes that can be a head game that we play with ourselves. We're not ready to do it, but in our minds we're like, but we know what we do need to do when we want to get back to that level. And I sabotaged myself a lot with that mind game and that mindset. So I've learned over time and through experience that isn't necessarily the way that you need to think. Like I said, Kelley said it right. It just needs to be a lifestyle. And when you step on stage, it just means that you're doubling down and you're just really getting rid of that 20%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really, that is the best advice to anybody that wants longevity in the sport. And if you enjoy the lifestyle, then it's not a big deal. It's not a problem. Yeah, the consistency and feeling good and knowing you're putting that right food in your body and everything's working the way it should be is you're the ultimate reward, aside from like trophies and everything else. But anyway, getting into more of this stuff. So you guys are all doing the same show, okay? You guys are going down to, what is it, the Dallas, the NFF Dallas Classic? Is that Dallas Showdown?
Showdown Classic.
Yes. So I have to ask, as a female athlete, what are some of the things you guys are looking for when selecting a show? Because there are so many different federations, natural federations out there, so many different shows. I know my answer to this, but I want to know what you guys, or particularly you guys, are looking for when selecting a show. Because obviously this one attracted all of you, and you don't even all live close to each. You're not even all remotely in that area. So go ahead, answer that one.
I guess I could go first. Okay, so I guess what made me do the Dallas Showdown was also the promoter. Isaac is pretty awesome. And so he reached out to me and was like, wouldn't it be awesome for you to do your pro debut the same stage you won your pro card? So that's what definitely got me to sign up for the Dallas Showdown. I was like, you're right, I should do that. And then in the federation, I've only competed in NFF, but I had a great experience. Everyone was so friendly. I connected with everybody. I built some friendships, and I still talk to them, the ladies, to this day, and males as well. And so I just like the atmosphere and how everyone cheered each other on, and I just got a good experience from it. So.
Good. You nailed it. So for you, it was the experience and the promoter that really brought you back.
Yes.
All right. You're up, Kelley. Tell me your reason.
I like I said, I've competed in several different organizations, and I've always been kind of looking for different things, personal reasons to pick different organizations, and especially because I am a coach, that plays a lot into who I will choose to compete with as a competitor as well. It's important to me that my athletes are treated well, and I really feel I feel like, not saying anything about any of the other organizations, but saying about NFF, I think that they really treat the athletes in an amazing way. There's nothing like the response from the crowd at an NFF show. And it's totally different from some of the other organizations where you get up on stage and the only people actually even looking at you are your friends and family who came. Whereas with NFF, man, that whole crowd is going wild. You flex your biceps and they all go nuts. And I love watching athletes on stage grin so big and so proud. And I'm like, y'all don't even know how good this is, because it's not like that in every organization. And
No, it's not.
You've put so much hard work in, and I love it. And so that just gets me excited, and it's kind of makes me want to compete with that organization. And I just love the way NFF shows are put together and how the athletes are treated well. I noticed from the very first NFF show that I did that I felt like every competitor, whether they were a pro or transformation, amateur, or, anywhere in between, any of those different varieties, I felt like they were all treated really great backstage. There was not favoritism. There was not, I felt like everyone was encouraged and told that they looked amazing. And again, unless you've seen otherwise, you don't realize how valuable that can be. But that's about the organization. The shows themselves, I'll be honest, I pick a lot off of what I have clients competing in, because sometimes I like to double whammy it, or in this case, a lot more than double. I have a lot of people competing at DSC. But I also I do pick off proximity a little bit. I'm very busy. My husband's a firefighter, so our schedules are all over the place, and we're opening a gym, and I have 2 kids. So traveling far away is not really an option for me in most years, but I won't say I haven't done it. But a lot of times actually being close to home is part of a big driving force. And so that's a major factor for me. The Dallas Showdown is close to me. I think Isaac is a great promoter, and he's going to do a fabulous job putting together a wonderful show at every step of the way. But I do also think that the timing is great. I like to do shows. Well, I say that. I don't like competing in the summer. I like competing in the spring and in the fall. But, I have pushed it all the way into June before, so I guess that's what's happening this year, because I wanted to do this show. But there's a lot of, usually, honestly, I like to do them close, and so the timing of what's going on in my life, and, but I've done destination ones as well, where I've decided, hey, that'd be a fun place to go, take my family, make a little trip out of it. So those are probably my main deciding factors in choosing a show. And I need somebody to do a sword as a giveaway for the pro level at some show that I do, because I've won lots of things, but I've never won a freaking sword. So
and I see a great mantle back there for a sword.
Yeah, yeah, I have a mantle of trophies and checks and medals, but
I
need to hang a sword up there. So yeah, we'll just put that out there. Although I have small kids, that probably I have to hang it up high. Anyway, someone else's turn.
Oh my gosh, that's great. So why don't you tell me, Tara, what draws you to this show? Because you live up in New England, or you live up on the East Coast, right?
Yep, I'm up in upstate New York, so
Okay.
it's gonna be a travel for me. But
Yeah.
I've traveled. I moved out of Texas in 2018, I think now. So I've traveled a few times back out there for some shows. It's not a big deal, but just like Kelley said, it's a lot of it for me is I'm active military, so the schedule and taking the leave and all that sort of stuff, and honestly, Isaac was really, again, just like Kelley said, the driving force behind me really signing up for the show. I really didn't have anything set up, nothing on my radar for this year, and I just kept seeing these promotions for DSC and promotions and all these people talking about it. I was like, okay. So then I started seeing different promotionals out there. So I went into the website, just playing around, seeing what the price would be, because I have to get to think about flying and all this stuff. So looking at everything when it comes to my budget.
Right.
And I'm assuming, saw me in there playing around and looking at different things and the registration site, and reached out to me and asked what he could do to secure me for the show. And we talked for a little bit, and he got me. But he's been nothing but great. And
hey, here we are.
Here we are. But I mean, you talk about promoters, and he's got to be one of the best promoters, if not the best promoter I think I've ever worked with for a show. Or he's just going above and beyond for the athletes, the pros, everybody. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good show.
I love it. And I'm gonna add something to that. One of the things I love about Isaac and some of the other promoters that are out there doing fantastic fantastic job, is their athletes themselves. I think that's a huge key component because, you know, you have Daryl DeVore out there. Him and his wife are both pro competitors. You have the Rock. You have the USBF with Rock Promotions doing their thing out there. You know, he's an active competitor, and I think that has a lot to do with it. And they're active in the natural organizations, so.
Yeah.
They know and they see, and if they're a lot like myself, they've become good by all the bad they've seen and experienced.
That's very true.
So, you know, and that's what's making them great. That's what's making them a cut above the best above everybody, is that they have seen bad things, they've experienced bad things, and they see all the room for improvement. And if they want to see it happen, they're just like, I'm going to do it myself. So kudos to all the promoters that are out there really getting this kind of feedback from athletes, because it means the world. It means you guys are doing the right thing. All right. So what else do we have here? Let's see. I'm not used to talking to the ladies, so this is great. You know, we talked about children, you know, that's another thing. And I think finding balance in a lot of the stuff that we do that's fitness related is really important. And how old are your kids now, Kelley?
They are 3 and 6.
Okay, 3 and 6. Now, one thing I wanted to throw out there is you did get on stage 9 months after having, what is it, your youngest?
Yes.
Yeah, that's incredible. That alone just deserves a sword, okay?
Yeah, I know, right? Where was my postpartum sword?
And it was like, you got on stage. You didn't just get on stage. Like, you crushed it. Like, I saw the physique on your social media, and it was very impressive. Now, you're just doing figure. Have you ever thought about crossing into women's physique? Or do you do women's
yes,
physique?
I have competed in figure many, many times. When I went pro with NFF in figure, I actually on the same day did athletic, and I went pro with athletic as well.
Okay.
I have competed at the pro level in athletic at one show, and otherwise in figure. I like the costumes for athletic, but my physique is not so much the best fit for that. I really have always wanted to kind of do something else. You could tell by if you see my performance when I did athletic, I wanted to do more on stage. I'm ready to do more on stage besides figure posing. So I did one-handed push-up and stuff, and they were like, "Well, that's not really athletic either."
That's okay.
No, everyone was really nice to me about it. I just like to do a little extra. So I have thought about doing physique before, but honestly, with the untested organizations, it never really ever got too serious of a thought for me because of the amount of mass I have. But in the natural organization, it's been a different, whole different playing field. So it's kind of put it into my mind, and I set myself the goal to actually compete in physique. And so I am actually registered for the Alamo Showdown with NFF in the fall to compete in physique for the first time. And so I am doing figure 2 more times first. I'm not saying I'll never do it again, but I am registered to compete in physique at Alamo Showdown. And now that I've declared it, I better make sure I come through.
I love that. Because as I was, you know, like I said, as I'm stalking you guys on Instagram, I see that in your physique. I'm like, you're one of those physiques that could really easily transition. And if you love to perform on stage, you're just cutting yourself short by not doing women's physique. It's just so much fun.
I'm ready to do a little more different posing and have a little more fun with it. And you know, I love figure. It's not to knock figure. I've just been ready for something a little more snazzy up there on stage. And I think that the way my body is built, I think I can fare well in that class, hopefully, as long as I can cut snacking as much as I need to.
That's going to be an exciting to follow. I'm really looking forward to that. So balancing balancing with children, like, and just the whole overall lifestyles. How do you ladies manage it? Now, do you have any children, Vanessa?
No, I don't. I'm a dog mom of 2.
I can't put my kids in crates.
And what? Okay, so let's talk about that. You're balancing it with your children, but also, how do your children respond and feel about this when they see you like kind of going to the next level? And they know? Do they know you're getting ready for a competition?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. So my kids have not been to all of my shows, but we've definitely brought them to several of our shows. When they were younger, well, when I just had the one, he came to all the shows. When once we had two, we've only brought them to some. As they've gotten older, they're a little harder to. I don't even want to say contain because that's not possible because I can't crate them. But they are harder to kind of to keep quiet and all that stuff. So we don't bring them to shows very often, but they definitely understand the sport that I'm doing. They understand when I'm on. I don't really talk about being on prep per se. I just they know that I'm heading towards a competition. But I am very careful in the way that I even outside of competition, being a personal trainer and nutritionist, of course, I'm talking to people about body fat and about nutrition all day, every day. And I will say, as a parent, one of the most important things I know I can pass down to my kids is great nutrition. And that's really important to me. But I also, hand in hand with that, want to make sure I give them healthy perspective of what that means in terms of how you view your body and all that. So I'm always very careful in the way that I talk about things with my kids. We always talk about eating things to feel good and be strong and be able to perform. I may not use that word, but I know that if I eat this, it's going to make my tummy not feel so great, and I won't be able to, I'm not going to feel so good when we go for our walk later. So I try to focus on performance-based things, being able to be strong. And then, and I think that's so important with kids. They don't need to know that someone's trying to lose body fat. And honestly, if you are eating healthy and to lose body fat, but you just talk about how you're trying to be healthy, honestly, if you just focus on trying to be healthy, the body fat part will happen. You don't have to focus on the body fat part. You focus on the healthy habits, the body fat part happens. So in the same way, that's what I want to teach them, because I want them to focus on that. When they come to the shows themselves, even when we're looking at those bodies up on stage, I always like to say, man, look, she looks so strong, doesn't she? Wow, she looks impressive, And so we talk about how strong people look, and I absolutely love it because my sons have grown up seeing women as strong because of my clients, my everyday clients coming in here and training. They think women are strong and do cool things. I mean, when my son was real young, he would say, daddy goes to the fire station and mommy goes and exercises with her friends. He thinks that's what we do, So I love that my kids view women as strong, but I always try to focus them, everything we're doing around that. And I'll be honest with you, even when I'm in the throes of prep, if my kid wants me to take a bite of something and I feel like it's one of those moments where it's more important that I don't skew his perception, I take the bite of something. I'll make it small or whatever, but at the end of the day, how my child views the way I eat is far more important to me than, a little bite of something throwing my prep. We'll be okay, So they're used to seeing me eat. Like I said, when it's a lifestyle, it's really not that different. So they're pretty used to mom not eating a lot of the stuff, that one might be concerned about. They're pretty used to me eating the same sorts of things throughout the year anyway. So it doesn't change much in that aspect.
Oh, I know. I love how you put that. And I have a very similar philosophy with my son as far as just like when he was young and he'd be like, Mom, can I have another cupcake? I'd be like, yes, absolutely. You can have another piece of cake or you can have another cupcake. But I would say, I want you to think about how it makes you feel after you eat it. And that's how I would always explain to him, because I think that's where a lot of the disconnect comes with children nowadays, is they're not connecting with their bodies. Like their mind and body isn't connecting. So they're overeating and they're making bad choices, but they don't understand like if you can think about how it's making your body feel. Like, do you want to feel that way? Like, is this a good feeling or is this a negative feeling? And that's how I always taught my son, until the point where now he's 12 years old and we'll be out to dinner and he'll be like, I don't want any bread. I'm waiting for my steak. But he makes those decisions on his own because he understands how his body feels and it's so cool, so I love that. I'm not the only crazy mom out there.
No,
not crazy, not crazy in a bad way, but crazy.
It comes back to you because just the other night I was trying to put my son to bed and not to talk about my kids all.
No, this is good. This is good.
We were laying down doing cuddles. We'd already done books. We'd already brushed teeth. We're like, this is like time to say goodnight, give that hug, go to bed. And he goes, so he's been having egg whites with me at nighttime as an egg white pancake with some syrup on it. And so he's been having that every once in a while with me. And so he's laying there and I'm saying goodnight and he goes, Mom, so it's really important that I exercise so that I'm really strong and really, but it's also really important that, I make sure I get my protein in so I'm really fit. And so, since I've been having egg whites with you sometimes, like I used to have to like do this and he pushes himself up and he says, but now I can do this. And he sits up without using his hands to show me he can do a sit up now. And so he's trying to convince me that he needs egg whites, obviously, because he wants to stay up a little bit later. But it's so funny because he's using the verbiage, that I've spoken with him. I'm gotta be strong, gotta be fit, and I'm just sitting there trying not to laugh. But it's good. It's good stuff. Of course, he got his egg whites. He won.
That's good. That's the good stuff right there. I love that. All right. So you have kids? Do you have kids, Tara?
I do not.
No. Okay. So that
y'all can borrow mine for a couple days if you want to experience this.
I was like, right? We can share. Do you have? Are you a dog? Are you a dog mom?
Yeah. I'm a cat mom.
Okay. Hey, cats deserve some love too.
Absolutely.
Oh man. Okay, cool. So yeah, I can relate a lot to the children stuff. And my dad was a bodybuilder growing up. So there you go.
Yeah.
It soaks in, and
Nice.
the kids they're absorbing it and they're learning from it, whether we push it onto them or not. The healthy lifestyle will continue. Like it'll just be something that is ingrained in them, whether they want it to be or not. It is something they will always be conscious of, and they will always be better for it. Always be better for it in the end. They don't have to be crazy, like obsessed about bodybuilding like me, but
right.
But the lifestyle, the reason I am 42 years old and I look the way I do is because of the healthy lifestyle I lived my entire life. Whether it was bodybuilding focused or not, I was always very conscious of the decisions I was making were in regards to food and exercise. So it doesn't have to be all about the stage. It's every day. So, yeah. Oh, Keith Holland and egg white pancakes. So we hit a soft spot. Oh man. So I do want to say hello really quick to some of the people that are watching. We got Robin watching, Keith, of course we have Isaac. Thank you for joining us. And Rock Solid. That was what I was trying to think of. Rock Solid. He does a great job with the USBF. I was just having like a moment there. So thank you for correcting me on that. So Daryl's watching. We got a lot of people. Shady Hamster, that's my son. I guess he's tuned in.
Thank you.
He tuned in to watch. So yeah, we just want to give a shout out to everybody that's joining us tonight. And if you have questions or topics that you guys want to, or stories, here we go. Keith has a little story here. Yeah, his 5-year-old son uses the verbiage. Yeah, it's always funny when they refer to things as protein or carbs, but that's good. Like that'll stay with them forever. So ladies, what are some of the things you're nervous about with this show coming up? Because it's not that far out. Like, what are some of the things that are always in the back of your mind as a female athlete? I know my answer, but I want to hear from you guys. Let's start with you, because let's start with Tara, because you've been quiet over there.
Well, being a female athlete, there's so many things that can go wrong, and I think I tend to overthink things come show day, and I probably tend to overpack my bag to bring to the venue and backstage but I'd rather be over-prepared and not need something than need it and not have it. Like, I bring everything from baby wipes to the travel sewing kit and extra suit, extra heels. Like, I feel like if I've seen it happen or if it's happened to me, I'm just going to avoid that situation in the future. Maybe something I have will help someone else out. And so really just probably the packing, getting ready, that's probably my number one right now. But yeah.
Absolutely. You can't be too prepared. And worst case scenario, somebody else backstage might need something that you have, and that's the beauty of it.
I've been asked for a wine bottle opener backstage. And
so have I.
I mean, people drink backstage, but sometimes, who knows. But I've been asked for a wine bottle opener. I'm like, no, I have a lot of stuff in this bag. And they said, well, yeah, I can see how much stuff you have in that bag, so I figured you probably have one too. I'm like, actually, I don't. Sorry.
Oh my goodness. So what have you learned What have you learned from your experiences? Like, I know for me going into a show, my biggest fear is always just not being ready, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if I have fears per se. I'm not really a fearful person or a worrisome person, but for me, and for the context of the shows I have coming up, it's having a lot of clients competing at my same show. The Dallas Showdown specifically, I have 12, maybe 13 clients competing. So
Wow,
it's kind of a
awesome.
lot to be competing at the same time.
Yeah.
But that's exactly why this is a figure one for me. I won't be, there's no way I will have that many clients at my first time doing physique because I'll be practicing the routine and all that stuff. But having clients competing at the same show adds a little bit of stress there for sure for me. Just making sure that I focus appropriate energy on them and make sure that they're prepared for the stage, while also worrying, paying attention to my tan and all that stuff. But the good thing is I've done it lots of times. A lot of things that used to worry me don't worry me anymore. And I'm definitely in a place where when I get there, this is what I got. So, I ain't going to be able to get any better today. So I'm bringing what I'm bringing.
Yes.
But I will say every show, what always is the one thing I guess you could say I fear, although that's a strong word, is this female cycle. As a female athlete, that's absolutely applicable. I have been on stage on the absolute worst day of the month before, and it is not fun.
it's definitely
and I have endometriosis, so the pain that I experience during that time is incredible, and it definitely has ruined a show completely. Made it to where I cannot hold in anything, and everything hurts, and but it is what it is. I've experienced it, hopefully once and done, and not again, but that is, in all honesty, we're talking about female stuff, and that's applicable. So
absolutely.
That's definitely something I'm always kind of looking at that calendar, hoping, not for TMI, but we're all adults, right?
Yeah.
I think it's very important to pack an extra suit. At my last show, my suit broke before I went on stage. And I really loved that bikini, and I was so happy to wear it. And it busted when I went to the restroom right before I got on stage. So I had a backup suit, thank goodness. And so I ran to go get my suit and wear that one on stage. And I was so glad I had it. So anyone who's watching, please pack an extra suit if you're going to compete.
Yes.
I always pack just a practice suit even. And if I have to wear that on stage, I wear that on stage. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. That's actually a big reason as to why I stopped getting the fancy connectors on the side. I just go with my suit designer now. It's just all fabric, and she'll bling out like the sides and everything. But yeah, no more of those fancy connectors for me, because I mean, it's nothing on the suit designer or anything. It's just one of those things that happens, or you could snag it on something. Oh no, those days are done for me.
Oh, for sure. And if you're anything like me, I am no dainty butterfly by any means.
No.
If I can break it or snap it or whatever, it's gonna happen.
Yep. Absolutely.
Oh my God, that's so funny. And for me, it's always extra shoes because I wear a size 5. So there is no borrowing shoes backstage. If something happens, I am SOL.
No.
So I always have extra heels. But
I do too.
All good stuff, ladies. And I'm very excited that you guys are all going to be at this same show together. How did you guys all connect? Now, you've all, in some way, shape, or form, you guys have all communicated on social media, correct?
Yes.
Yep. Well, how it actually all happened was Isaac set up a closed IG chat for the Dallas Showdown pros. And every time someone officially registers, he adds them to the list, and we just have an ongoing chat. And that's how I met both of them. That's how I met a lot of these athletes.
I love that.
Yeah, it's been nice.
That is so fun. Now, where do you two live? I know you're up in New York. Where do you other two? Kelley, what state are you in?
I'm in Weatherford, west of Fort Worth.
Okay. And then Vanessa, are you down in Texas as well?
Yes, I'm in San Antonio.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm definitely going to try to make my way out to Texas this season.
Yeah.
I want to catch some shows and give some of the athletes out there some support, because, man, there's some incredible talent coming out of Texas, and I feel like there's a huge natural bodybuilding presence in Texas.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You might be able to hear my son.
Yep.
Sorry, he's feeding the dog.
That's okay. That's totally cool. So, all right. Trying to see, is there anything else you ladies want to add, or anybody watching have any questions for these ladies? Because we have the whole spectrum here. We have our more experienced pro, Kelley, who's done shows in multiple organizations, and then we kind of have our new pro, Vanessa, and then we have our pro making her comeback to the stage, which is exciting. I'm excited to follow you, Tara.
Yeah.
And then I've just kind of seen it all here. I'm the old lady, just. But I love adding some input too. It's all about experiences and being able to share them that helps make everybody better. I really believe in that. So I'm always happy to answer questions. All right, here we go. Let's see here. Number 77 just registered. Ooh, very nice.
Oh.
Woohoo!
I like it. This is going to be a big show.
That is
It is going to be a...
cool.
Yeah.
And now I would be there, but there's also another show happening that same weekend here in Florida, which I am going to be live streaming. So the Florida Pro is happening on Sunday, and this show will be on Saturday. What do you guys think about the pros that are attempting to do both shows? I mean, can you guys even wrap your heads around that? Because there's quite a few that are attempting it.
I know Keith is one of them that's doing it. I don't know.
As a female, I don't know if my body
As a female,
could do
I don't know.
I've done 2 shows. The closest I've ever done shows was 2 weeks apart. And I felt like that was a nice sweet spot that gave me the opportunity to kind of stabilize and then kick back into peak week. I know people who've done a 1 week gap and they felt like they didn't get that chance to stabilize and peak correctly. I mean, obviously everyone can have different experiences.
Sure.
I mean, I've never even imagined or thought about, contemplated doing one back-to-back, day-to-day. I can see how that could work better than a week, though. Just stay peaked and keep going, and you're already tan. I can see how that could be good. But the travel. If
I could drive, maybe.
Yeah,
but
travel
flying, no. There's so many variables for traveling. My body doesn't react well to flying to begin with, so
go for it. I say go for it, though. People are doing it. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Try it out.
Yeah.
It'll be a fun weekend, that's for sure.
Very busy weekend.
That's for sure.
So I have a question. Any advice to someone who's starting out at 48 years young? Dallas is going to be her first show. That's from Stacy.
That is exciting.
Yeah.
She's one of my clients, so I'm going to let someone else answer her. She talk all the time.
Well, that's perfect, because I was going to say my first set of advice to anybody is find a coach. Find someone that you can work with that can guide you through it. But just the fact that you're getting up there on stage, like next to getting a coach, the most important thing to remember on show day is just enjoy it, have fun, and just remember it. Don't get so freaked out and scared about the what ifs and, different things that could potentially go on. Just get up there and remember the moment, because you only have one first show.
Yes. And you work so hard and you train so hard for it, and you're going to look lovely in your outfit, and you got to go up there and show it and show everybody all the hard work that you did, and just enjoy it and have fun. That's all.
You only have like 5 minutes on stage if you're lucky. Yeah. Make
My
the
advice
most
is
of it.
do what your coach says.
Listen to your coach.
That too.
Yes.
That too.
Well, because she's my client, but it is true. I mean, in reality, I think any first-time competitor, regardless of the age you're going into the sport, I think finding a coach is useful. But not just any coach. There are absolutely a lot of coaches out there, people who have background and certifications, and people that don't, and all sorts of situations. But I definitely suggest finding someone. But just like I say to anyone looking for a trainer, just for general fitness, don't be afraid to ask questions. You're entrusting someone with your body. So don't be afraid to ask questions, and especially before you even get started, to find out what this journey is going to be like and how it might differ from what it would be like with someone else. Kind of find out what to anticipate. And obviously I'm not speaking directly to Stacy on that, because we've talked about a lot of questions. But to any first-time competitor, I would say, you know, coach can be really useful. And my number one tip to anyone who's interested in going to a show is to compete in a show is to go to a show. Go to a show, see the categories, see what it's all about, and experience it as a spectator so that you can have an idea of what you're getting into. And, you know, don't be afraid to ask questions. People are always happy to share their experiences. Catch any competitor, amateur or pro, and ask them any question you might have, because they're super excited typically on that day and happy to share about their experiences. But even if nothing else, you kind of need to see what you're getting into and make sure it's something you even really want to do, because a lot of people like the idea of competing, but then when they see what it really is, it may or may not be for them. And you're about to do a lot of commitment to that. So you want to make sure it's something that you want to do. And also to never lose sight of your why. Why is it you want to do it? And keep that in mind throughout the entire process. Everybody's got different reasons, but you need to know solidly what your why is, or it's going to be real hard to stick to the core of what you're really trying to accomplish.
I'm going to piggyback off of Kelley really quick. For anyone who wants to compete for the first time and they are looking for a coach, it is very important, because when I started looking for a coach, I reached out to different people and to see if I vibed with them as well and asked so many questions. And I also reached out to different female competitors as well and asked them about their experience, what advice they can give me. I did my research before I even decided this is what I really wanted to do. And so I reached out to who's my coach. I reached out to my coach on Instagram and I was asking her how competing was for her and everything. And then she told me that she actually started coaching and if I would trust her and she would be my coach. And I was like, sure, why not? Like, me and you are vibing. We get along right now. The other coaches I've talked to, like, I didn't feel the vibe. And I think you have to have a good connection with your coach and have that relationship. Because if you do, you're going to have a great experience during your whole journey. And so that's why I fell in love with it, because my coach gave me the greatest experience of like prep and like was by my side. And then also the show, meeting all the people there as well, made me feel so confident and like love it. So I just say, do your research and just ask all the questions. Don't be scared to.
Yeah. I love that. That is so true. That is so true. Now, on the flip side of that, I hear a lot of girls that have terrible experiences with coaches, and so heed this warning. Listen and take these ladies' advice, because doing a little research goes a long way in this sport. For sure. Well, I'm excited for your client to be getting on stage for the first time at 48 years old. As you guys know, I go around and I live stream and I see a lot of I get a chance to hear a lot of stories, and that's always one of my favorite stories is, you know, the bucket list. They're doing something completely out of their comfort zone, and they're doing a show, and it ends up leading into this whole entire lifestyle, like we said earlier. So there is no bad that can come out of that, only positive and good things. Even if it's the only show she ever does, she'll have the memory, the pictures, the friends, the experience, and yeah, so I'm super excited. Those stories, like, that's what makes me continue to do what I do, is when I hear stuff like that. So anyway, anything else you ladies want to add? Now, Keith Holland had asked why you guys picked this show, but we kind of already covered that. And then, I'm sorry, Robin had a question too, which I find interesting. You mentioned that you have trouble snacking. Does your husband make it harder with his eating habits? Or
that's a great question.
Yeah,
and it's something that clients face a lot. It's something that every competitor faces, not necessarily with their husband, but their friends, their family, and different people experience it to different degrees. I personally am very blessed to have a husband that is very deep in the throes of a healthy lifestyle. He actually will take all the credit for introducing me to weightlifting many years ago. He always says, you're welcome, because 12 years ago he got me into to strength training and said, I think you'd really like this. And I'm a very independent woman. I didn't like following my boyfriend around the gym, so I started to learn quite a bit, and it became a big passion for me. And then I'm the one who ended up becoming a trainer, and throughout our marriage, he supported my sport as a spectator and as a supporter. He actually did compete in his very first show ever with NFF this past season. And so that was interesting being on prep together, because throughout my processes, he's always been very like, oh, well, you got to go get your workout because you've got the show. Like he would prioritize me making sure I get things done in the way that I need to. So it was interesting to see how that would go down with prep, being on prep together, but honestly, it worked out really well. Of course, there were some days where we're like, all right, we need to go get our meal, we need to eat, we're fading. But that's nothing new to our marriage either. So we've been married 10 years now, and, you know, we've had our fights that we really realized we just needed some carbs. But for sure. But I know that that's not always the case. I've been very blessed in that way, and we were able to support each other. And I, of course, coached him, so that added an extra element into the interesting scenario in that case.
Definitely.
But he's sold. He's all in. He's signed up for the Dallas show. Actually, he's going to keep on going. But
very good.
On the same token, though, he is my best and my worst influence, which is the case with a lot of marriages and a lot of good friendships, even. You know, we cheat together, and we also support each other in the great ways. But I do think that a lot of people sometimes don't have that. I have clients all the time who don't have that, who have spouses or family members who don't understand why they're doing what they're doing. Some that vehemently don't support it. And that's a struggle. That's a big struggle. And to that, I always say, you know, anyone who's a trainer or coach knows that a lot of what you do is behavioral coaching and leads into life coaching. So I try not to ever give anyone too much advice, but again, I always root back to don't forget your why. And, you know, in the case of a marriage, it can be a fine line of making sure that you ask for support when you need it, but you also respect the impact that what you're doing is having on their life as well, and your life as a family unit, or as a friendship, if it's your friend or your sibling or whatever, you know, whoever it is that you're struggling with in that way.
No worries.
No, that's my child. Okay. Alonzo, please.
Oh no, this is the beauty of live. This is the beauty of live.
Now I've got dogs under me. I'm a dog mom too. So I think it can be a struggle for sure, and I think it's really important for people to not only remember their why, what they're trying to do. Sorry, but also you know. Sometimes it may be a situation where I will always say this with my husband. There's been a situation I've had a prep once where he just wasn't so completely on board for whatever reason. I struggled with it a little bit, and I just kind of had to have a conversation with him, like, hey, you're a little bit different this time. I don't know what's the deal. If you don't want me to do the show, let's talk about it. You know, I needed to be receptive to where we were as a family. I've pulled out of a show before because my son was just so challenging at that age. You know, so you've got to always be okay with making the call to not compete if it doesn't make sense. If it's causing too much strife in your family, you need to not be so stuck on that particular date that you won't even address it in your own mind if it's the best thing in your life at that time. I always tell people the stage will always be there. So if it's really truly not right for whatever reason, family conflict or whatever, you've got to consider that. But on the simpler aspect, less deep, when we're just talking about how you deal with that struggle of people wanting you to snack, you know, you've got to be transparent and upfront and open with whoever it is and make sure that they realize why this is important to you and what you're trying to accomplish. And some people are just not ever going to agree or support it or understand, you know, and you've got to make the call. If it's up to you to continue to prep for that show, then you've just got to do what you've got to do and, you know, do your best to try to make that work in a way that's the least, you know, invasive in your life as you possibly can. But I know that that's a challenge. For a long time, my husband probably just wanted me to have a drink more than he wanted me to have snacks. But, you know, yeah, that could be a challenge for sure.
Oh yeah. And how are you two? Do you guys have live in households where you really have that support? And
sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I do. At first, it was a little weird because it was a transition with getting like my family on board of like how I was eating and then getting them to understand. And then once they did, they were on board and very supportive through the whole way. And so were my coworkers as well. I told them at work like how passionate I was about it, and they all rooted me on. They all told me, "Oh, Vanessa, you can't have that. You got to stick to your meal because you want Cane's or Whataburger. You can't have that. You got your meals to stick to." So they were like very helpful as well once they realized how passionate I was for how passionate I was about it, they understood, and I had like the support and everything. So it was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Coworkers is a big one. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
I mean, because think about it, that's where a lot of us spend most of our days.
At work, yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, and for me, too, a good chunk, maybe 80-90% of my job is traveling on the road. So,
wow.
And we like to eat out on the road a lot. So,
challenging.
So yeah, but now they're now that I'm in prep started for me, they're almost like yelling at me, like, no, you have to go eat this. No, you have to eat your own food. Get to the gym. Don't you have to go to the gym? Like, okay. So, so my coworkers have been very supportive. I've got a whole bunch of coworkers and a whole lot of support coming from work and everything. There's been amazing, and it's actually kind of easy because I just live by myself. It's just me and my cat here. So if I'm not at work, I'm in the gym or I'm at home and trying to get through school. And so yeah, it's in that aspect, it's a fairly easy prep for me. So hopefully it just keeps going that way.
Oh no, that's awesome.
On that note of coworkers, I just kind of wanted to add, because I know it comes up a lot with clients. I know a lot of people face a lot of challenges with coworkers and with work settings, with treats being brought in, and people that work in doctors' offices or my teachers, and they have all sorts of things always at the present. Even if it's not an individual wanting them to have something, it might just be exposure to things, and that can be a huge challenge for anyone who's trying to just be healthier. And so, again, that's where I always encourage people to think about their why, even if it's just for general fitness and health. Don't lose sight of what that why is. But when it comes to the, I've definitely had clients who have their coworkers who are unfortunately not as supportive as the ones y'all are speaking of, who, may make their comments and have their remarks that they have to input. And little thing I always say to my clients is, when you start really trying to care for your body and be healthier and happier, even not in the constant context of competition, people who judge what you're doing while you're doing it will always ask you why you're doing what you're doing. But when you reach certain places in your life towards these goals, they will probably come back and ask you how you did what you did. Yes. So that's what I always remind people to keep in mind. Take the questions now, take the judgment now, because you'll get to enjoy the day. And it's not a spiteful thing. It's just, you're going to get to enjoy the day, that when you get to that point, you're going to have to laugh, because they're going to say, how did you do it? And you're like, remember that cupcake you were trying to tell me to just eat? Yeah, that's how I did this, And it really is just something where you've got to stick to your guns, You've got to have that consistency for what it is that you're wanting to accomplish, because 9 times out of 10, those people will come back around and wonder how you even did it. And it seems obvious to you, but the positive take on that is that hopefully maybe you can be an inspiration to them and encourage them to seek some of those healthier habits as well.
Yeah.
Yes. And on that note, and this might be one of the last questions I ask, have any of you experienced actually fit shaming, where people are actually throwing darts at you because of what you're trying to do, not just in the work environment, but just in general? I know I've experienced it firsthand, and it's very unpleasant. And I think what we do is misunderstood by a lot of people in society. They think we're arrogant, we're conceited, we're just in love with ourselves. And that's bodybuilding in a nutshell, when it's so much more than that. But, the fit shaming, it's a thing. It's out there. I don't know if any of you ladies have experienced it, but it's unpleasant.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So,
Go ahead, Tara.
Sorry, Kelley. It's it's not, I mean, my mom definitely does not understand what I do, and she acts like she supports it, but I know deep down she doesn't support it, just really because she doesn't understand it. For that, I think it's really just a generational thing. Like, my uncle was big into bodybuilding. One of my very first memories of my dad when I was little, I remember my dad had a weightlifting bench and a whole set down in the basement. So, I mean, it's in my family. It's not like she's never seen this stuff before, but for some reason, she doesn't understand, doesn't want to talk to me about it. And it's just one of those things we just can't talk about that sort of stuff. But I mean, even down to strangers in the grocery store will throw out random comments at me, and it's gotten to the point sometimes where you're deep into prep, and I find myself leaving the gym, and I'm still in my gym leggings and tank top and stuff. Well, okay, I don't want to wear this to the grocery store. Let me go put something else on, because I just don't feel like dealing with the comments and just the ignorance really that it just comes down to. It just, yeah. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. It's always in those public places where people think they can get away with the comments and leave.
Yeah, I was going to say, I get a lot more publicly from strangers than I get from anyone. And that doesn't mean that people aren't judging. They just maybe don't decide to tell me like a stranger does. But I get comments, you know, when I'm out with my husband, I'll have a guy say, man, your arms are bigger than mine. And I laugh about that stuff. I just reply, well, yours could be if you lifted. I don't know what to tell you. But that's my personality. That's my attitude. I'm not mean, but you know, I learned at a very young age, typically when people say something to you, it has more to do with them than it does with you. And even on top of that, usually it's very surface level. I think most of the people don't understand bodybuilding, or even just the building muscle to your body. People that don't get it, it's not even a matter of not liking it or jealousy or whatever. I don't think it's that deep. I think it strikes them as different, and and something just comes out of their mouth. And then they move on, and they don't really care that much about you. So, you know, that's why it's easy for me to dust off my shoulders. I've heard all kinds of comments. The one that I get a lot is like at a grocery store, I'll get, man, I wouldn't want to get in a fight with you. That's the one I get all the time. And I'm always like, so my reply is, don't mess with my kids, and that will never be a problem. Because I don't fight people. Just because I have muscle doesn't mean I'm a violent person. I don't understand that connection. So I don't know if they think I'm violent, or they're just know that if we did get in a fight, they'd probably lose. I don't know. But that's a really strange one that I get. And of course, but I think in terms of the fit shaming aspect, I do get, you know, I have gotten all the comments about, oh, well, it's easy because you juice. And I'm like, you don't know me. You don't know what I do. You don't know what my background is. You know nothing about me, and I don't. So, but thanks for minimizing all my hard work into a super simple statement, you know, and you get things like that. And again, it just comes down to something they don't understand, something they don't know much about. When it comes to true shaming, I've had people tell me, no offense, but I would not want to look like you. And I'm just like Arnold. I say, well, you won't, because it's not going to happen by accident. So, you know, you brush it off because you never did this for them in the first place. The bodybuilding, the building your body, the changing of your physique. You didn't do it for those strangers. You didn't do it for those people, even the people you know. You didn't do it for them. You're doing it for yourself, and you know, for what you want for your body and for a hobby that you enjoy. And so if you keep that in sight, you just it becomes so much easier to dust off. But I know that's easier for me because I care a little less about what other people think than the average person.
No, you're right. You nailed it. Awesome. Yeah. Well, I want to thank all of you for jumping on here. This was a lot of fun, and I'm going to be doing some more. I have some really specific topics that relate to females and females in bodybuilding that I'm going to be touching on moving forward. This was really fun because it was just kind of like a meeting of the minds, and I was actually taking some notes, and I actually have got some good content. I think that we can things that we can elaborate on and in other episodes. So I want to thank you guys for coming on here. I want to wish you all the best of luck at this Dallas show. It's coming up, and it sounds like it's going to be huge. We're now at 78 after this episode. So I know, right? It's growing. So, and I know it's going to be a successful show, and I wish Isaac all of the best, the promoter. And so I want you guys, do any of you have, if people are watching, any way they can reach out to you, or do any of you have your own businesses that if anybody had questions, or like coaching? Kelley, are you taking any more clients? I mean, how does anything you guys want to promote for yourselves before we shut this down? Because I want all your information.
Since I'm still in the big square, I'll just get my piece done and let y'all talk.
Okay.
I'm opening Fox Den Fit Club in Weatherford. We are opening a new gym. We've been dealing with the city for months, but we should be opening sometime here very soon. So it's a full open for use gym in Weatherford and in Weatherford, Texas. So anyone who's anywhere near those parts, come on and check it out. But And when you come visit Texas, please come on out. I know it's a little far from where these shows are, but y'all are welcome to come drop in and say hi. I own Feisty Fox Fitness is my LLC, so I train under the name of Feisty Fox Fitness. I've been training for years under that. That's what's on the back of these robes and this picture here. That would have been better that way. Feisty Fox Fitness is kind of my name for my personal training and my competition team and all my ladies. So you can find me on Instagram as Feisty Fox Fitness, as well as Mrs. Kelley Martinez. And those are my handles on Fox Den Fit Club, of course, has one as well. But Feisty Fox Fitness is for the training, specifically competition prep. I keep quite full client load for face-to-face training, but I can sometimes take on some competition clients who might be interested. I have kind of specialized in transformation clients. My everyday girls becoming a transformation client and then hitting the stage and then moving forward with categories like bikini. But I love working with people of all different experience levels, male and female. But yes, I am open to new clientele if I can make it work within the timelines for both of us. So
Feisty Fox Fitness. Wait.
Feisty, Feisty.
So after getting to know you and talking to you today, like that is so perfect.
Yeah, when I named the company, I wanted it to, I originally wanted to train women only when I chose the name Feisty Fox Fitness. And I actually did a Facebook poll way back then on when you hear the word feisty, do you think of males or females? So I kind of chose it because it attracts females specifically, but also because it fits my personality. And I always kind of say my training style is a mean mom. So, you know, the feisty part kind of fits. There's a lot of sarcasm happening in our weight room. So.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, thank you,
Nice.
Kelley, so much. I appreciate your time, and thank your kids and your puppy too for letting us steal you.
I've got 3 dogs laying by my feet right now.
All right. Oh no, that's awesome. All right, so I'm gonna let you ladies. Do you have anything? Do you do coaching, Tara, or?
I do. Yep. I'm in the process right now of launching my company. It's called Ignite Fitness and Nutrition.
Okay.
And I do very similar to Kelley. I do competition lifestyle clients. I do mainly online posing for clients just because in this
That's a big one.
little upstate New York, sure. I mean, anything positive that's come out of COVID is all this, access to virtual classes and seminars and everything that we have now that just really wasn't a thing before or wasn't as big. So Ignite Fitness and Nutrition. I don't really have a separate Instagram handle or anything for that yet. I do everything just off of the T-Mart 1023 down there.
Okay, so, perfect.
Yep. And the websites to come, but yeah.
Awesome. I like to see people using their knowledge and their experience that they gain in the sport to share it with other people that are coming into the sport. So I think that's great that you are that you're doing that. All right, how about for you, Vanessa?
Yeah.
No, not yet. Eventually, it's a go for me that I would like to coach people, but I'm not there yet.
Okay, no, that is. Now, do you do any like personal training? Or are you involved in the fitness industry at all aside from just competing?
So I used to do open water swim. So I actually teach people how to swim and all that. That was my background. I have been swimming for about 20 years now.
Oh.
Yeah. So that was my background before I started getting into lifting and everything.
Hey, let's see those lats.
Yeah. Swimming is great.
But if anyone has any questions, they can reach out to me on my Instagram. It's Nessa Vanessa, I think _5. So if they ever want to reach out to me and ask me questions, they definitely can.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to let everybody go. Thank you so much. This was a great episode. And I'll be following all of your journeys for sure.
Yay.
Yeah, I will too.
All right, awesome. So I want to thank all of you out there for watching. I hope you got something out of this and you enjoyed it. Please follow all of these women and their journeys this season. Again, their first show is going to be the NFF Dallas Showdown. Again, Dallas or Texas is big on natural bodybuilding. There's gonna be a lot of shows happening there. And I want to thank Isaac for setting this up. Again, he's a great promoter. It sounds like he's really taking this community and pulling it together, which is one of my big goals. And that's it. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, I'd appreciate it if you did, because I have some incredible live streams that I'm going to be streaming for free on this channel. And the way I'm able to do that is through all of you supporting me. And everybody have a great night and a great workout tomorrow. All right. And I have a little outro. Here we go.